everyone, Maximiliano Sala finally had his official presentation wearing the jersey of the greatest team. And this keeps causing anger, resentment, a lot of unpleasant things towards the kid because honestly, he's already crazy. Stop! This is excessive. In a long time? Actually, we, the River fans, with the Franco Mastantuono situation, we're not still making posts against Real Madrid, against PI. Chill out a bit, guys, chill out a bit. And here, I have to agree with most of my followers who told me that being a River fan and having a good relationship with some journalists isn't compatible. Being a River fan and supporting some people isn't compatible. Unfortunately, I have to admit that they're right in this case, and I'm going to address some posts that I really didn't like from Pablo Carrosa and from someone else because honestly, this doesn't make any sense. I want to say that I agree with Pablo on something very important, which is the issue of not promoting betting houses. We're side by side on that, but how anti-River this guy is, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. How can it be that Maximiliano Salas went from being better than Mbappe, as seen in his posts, in his videos, etc., to being a traitor, to being the worst player in Argentina, to wishing him harm? Because in this post you see here, he desires him to perform as poorly as Vareiro did at River, or even worse. Is he hoping for him to fail? What's up? Additionally, Maximiliano Salas' wife posted in his defense yesterday. I believe that's ideal. We can question whether women should get involved or not. I'm not gonna get into that debate, but it ends up being a post. Talking trash, the one about how thanks to racing she was able to have her hair, she went way too far. You can draw your own conclusions. I think it's pathetic. What's the issue here? Namanai, what bothers you is realizing that River is the greatest of all, and that's why people choose River over another team, which in this case is Racing. It bothers them because they see River and Racing as equals, but they're not equals, not even River and Boca. River is up here and Boca is down here, guys, not to mention Racing is much lower. Even if it hurts, just look at the resentment, the anger they have towards River. In this case, Pablo is always at odds with the ideas of Juan Sebastian, Veronica, and sometimes even with those of Milito. Because of the issue with the SAD, he defended Veron in the post he made against River. I mean, I have my principles, but if I don't have others, because honestly, taking Veron's side when Veron attacks River doesn't make any sense at all. I'm pretty upset about this issue because I think they're really going after the kid, he had to turn off his comments. And they keep adding fuel to the fire, they keep going. How far do they want to take this? When are they going to let go? How can a player be better than Mbappe? According to him, go ahead and explain. Just for choosing a better financial future for whatever reason, changing jobs, he suddenly becomes the worst player in Argentina, a traitor. I don't get it. It bothers me because, like I said, I have some things in common, buddy. Obviously, most of them, the football ones, no, because I don't like people who make content. It's just my thing. I don't like people who give opinions without showing. Which club are you from? Because that's where you hide. Behind a false impartiality, a false neutrality. No one is impartial, no one is neutral. We all have a political idea about soccer. Why? Why so much? It's really hard for me. In the past week, we've had a conversation where she told me, I'm not going to talk about this topic, I don't want to argue about it because I said something to her about Chiquitapia. It's hard for me to understand the journalists who know how Argentine soccer is managed, who support Chiquitapia, and even go as far as to nominate him. They say he's the best political figure in the country for a political position. If this guy ends up running in national politics, who knows what awaits us? He's an emir, with a stadium named after him, building a new stadium for the few members he has. Where does the money for the stadium come from? Well, that's another matter. All of this really makes me angry, honestly, really angry because there's an explosive combination. Anti-River, this is anti-River, anti-Salas, pro-Tapia, it's a lot, it's too much. Go easy on the kid, I hope the kid does great, that he shuts everyone up. And now we're also going to talk a bit about the misinformer. We've given that name to a guy who at some point worked on River's campaign, like Pablo Ladaga, who yesterday said this in the media. He said this on C5N.
What is this? What happened at this hour? What does he want? The whole team?
Rumores.
The River might be considering going after Maravilla Martínez.
No, that's not possible, please.
Are we being serious? Are they feeding you lines through the earpiece? It's information that Mr. Pablo Nadaga received, which has me very
worried. Salas and Maravilla Martínez as well. We all know that Salas' situation is over. It's a full-blown scandal. I mean, Salas. Yesterday, he accused Racing's president of lying, saying he was never offered a renewal and they never shook hands on any contract agreement. Sala's statement is very, very strong.
He was liked by members of the team.
What I'm being told is that from a very, very, very close circle to Marcelo Gallardo, it's that at River, there are still 14 more days ahead because the transfer window deadline was extended. They're looking for a center forward, and the center forward that they're thinking about is Maravilla Martínez. This would truly be a scandal in Argentine football.
Salas.
And Maxi Salas appeared, for me, the best player in Argentine football.
Who maybe doesn't get as much media attention as Juan Fer, or maybe doesn't get as much media attention as a guy from Boca or a guy from River. Salas' actions are incredible.
You can tell he breathes potrero, that he comes from the lower leagues, and I mean that in a positive way. He's the best player in Argentine football. Well folks, what we just saw was something that tried to be a scoop. Then it was repeated in all the media that River would go after Maravilla Martínez. That being said, I'd love for River to go after Maravilla Martínez. After everything that the anti-River people and the Racing fans are stirring up, I would love it. I would really love for them to go after Maravilla Martínez. But you know how it is talking in hypotheticals? People very close to Gallardo's inner circle, as if he actually had direct contact with them. With how anti-River he is, with how much it bothers him when River does well, with how much it bothers him when River grows, it's so easy to talk in hypotheticals. And then, you know how websites want to replicate news. They followed Pablo Lada's statement suggesting River would pursue Maravilla Martínez. I reiterate my hope that they will. But that information is fictional, just like the information from his show called The Truth. His channel, is called The Truth Santelmo. He said Maxi Salas was moving to River due to changing agents, but never admitted it was a lie later. He keeps talking. He's just selling smoke. Guys, we River fans need to be more united than ever. Aside from criticizing how Gallardo is forming the team. Whether he gets the most out of some players, whether he doesn't get the most out of the players, whether he chooses the right reinforcements or not, whether he chooses the right reinforcements. It's an election year. They're going to come at us from all sides. Hopefully, River will play their young players like Subiabre against Platense at the start of the tournament tomorrow, as they've mentioned. Lencina, I really hope there are new faces and that Maxi Salas plays and does great, as I mentioned earlier. Honestly, we must unite and fight against all that's coming from the outside. Additionally, River is facing significant political activity due to the ongoing election year. So we have to stay united, stand our ground, be critical, and share things like we do in our post-match streams and our videos. By the way, we'll start streaming tomorrow right after River vs Platense ends. Come join us for a chat, but let's stay united and stand our ground. From the blows that come from outside, from the low blows that come from outside. Because I realized, unfortunately, that being a River fan and supporting certain people or following certain people isn't compatible. Guys, bye-bye.